Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity given to me to contribute on the motion of supply regarding the 2022 budget that was presented by Honorable Msokotwane in this House. Madam Speaker, I'll focus on about three things. Number one, I'll look at the budget in general terms. Then I'll focus on the education sector. And thirdly, I'll focus on the decentralization. Madam Speaker, when you look at the 173 billion budget that the Minister of Finance has presented to this August House on behalf of the Zambian people, and when you look at the strategic thrust of the UPND government, Madam Speaker, they are talking about economic transformation and job creation. But when I look at this budget, Madam Speaker, on page 40, I have not seen the Minister, although in statistical terms there is 33 billion that has been provided in terms of economic affairs. Madam Speaker, there is no sufficient money here to grow the economy. Because if the strategic thrust is to transform this economy and you are targeting 3.5% for growth, Madam Speaker, that is not ambitious enough. The ambitious percentage would have been maybe 6-7%. Then there you'd say the government wants to grow the economy and create jobs for the Zambian people. Madam Speaker, what I would have expected the Minister of Finance, and it is not very late, was that the economic transformation of this country is hinged on developing farm blocks, is hinged on developing the M phases and investing in the energy sector. The energy sector in this country contributes about 1% to gross domestic product. This is why it should have been able to put money and grow jobs and grow the economy and create jobs for the Zambian people. But when you look at Nansanga Farm Block, 110 million, Madam Speaker, there is nothing that is going to go into there because the farm block, like you recognize, have not been able to attract potential investors because the basic infrastructure in the farm blocks have not been developed. The basic infrastructure in the M phases have not been developed in terms of water, in terms of roads, even in terms of power. I was Minister of Energy in this country at one time. When you go to the M phase here in Lusaka, a lot of companies would want to go and invest in there, but there is no sufficient power. So what we would have expected, Madam Speaker, the Minister, if he really wants to ensure that there is strategic thrust about economic transformation, he should have provided sufficient money in the energy sector. The PF government, Madam Speaker, provided 1,300 megawatts invested in transmission lines. I would have expected the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, for example, to provide money to put up even a wind farm plant in Chama district, so that that transmission line from Chipata going all the way to Chama could start exporting power to Malawi and make money for this country. Madam Speaker, moving on, in terms of the education sector, there is a lot of celebration, Madam Speaker. When you look at what the PF government did, although the MP for Kafue said we never added those numbers of schools, Madam Speaker, the PF government added significant numbers of schools in this country. Yes, through different means, upgrading of primary schools, building new secondary schools, and obviously the credit goes to those that have completed the schools. We inherited a number of schools from the MMD, which we completed 115 altogether schools which are under construction. We upgraded more than 700 primary schools into secondary schools. And this is why today, Madam Speaker, the Minister wants to recruit 30,000 staff. It is because of those investments which the PF did. Almost 5 billion over the last 10 years was dedicated to upgrading schools so that the transition rate from primary school to secondary schools can be increased. And this is why, Madam Speaker, with that investment which we did in 2011, for those who are not aware, we only had 631 secondary schools in this country. Today, when you look at the Education Statistical Bulletin, it's unfortunate Honorable Chonya has not looked at that document. We have, although it is not even correct, we added more than 1,000 secondary schools to the portfolio of secondary schools in this country through new investment and upgrading of schools, and everybody is aware. They can say question, but they are aware. I stayed in that ministry for more than 8 years.
Order, order. Honorable Member for Mwense, please, as you debate, you may just take your seat. As you debate, don't react to the comments on the floor. That is going to distract you. Remember to debate through or addressing the presiding officer. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, with that investment, the PF also went to ensure that we needed human capital through private sector participation in terms of opening up new colleges, new universities. This is why even Honorable Finance Minister was able to say we had 55,000 of teachers who are trained. But at that time, Madam Speaker, the PF employed teachers methodically because the framework was to employ 50,000 plus teachers in 10 years. And by the time the PF left office, more than 30,000 teachers were employed. It is the only government at the time which employed the highest number of teachers compared to MMD and UNIP, all the years put together. So we are delighted, Madam Speaker, that if they want to recruit 30,000 teachers, they have to recognize that the 1.7 billion budget that they have added, it is going to swallow the growth of the Ministry of Education in this country. Because that is a huge amount of money that the minister has added to the portfolio. Even when you look at the free education they are proposing, Madam Speaker, when you look statistically, the primary schools will be getting about 4,000 kwacha. The secondary schools will be getting about 38,000 kwacha. Look at a school like Amwala Livala, which has got about 4,000, 3,000 pupils, and when you multiply by 200 kwacha, they will be losing a significant amount of income compared to the 38,000 kwacha they will be getting on a monthly basis as grants to implement free education. So, Madam Speaker, we encourage our colleagues to be cautious because the education sector is what can transform this country. So by just being popular in terms of those decisions they are making, they need to employ them cautiously, Madam Speaker. And lastly, the decentralization about the 25 million kwacha which has been given, Madam Speaker, that money, as it sounds big, Madam Speaker, we need the European government to implement a functional decentralization policy. Yes, we are interested in that money, Madam Speaker, but on what basis are we going to be using it when there is no decentralization policy that has been implemented? So all we are asking is an institutional framework so that the members of parliament can be protected. Look at a member of parliament for Kanyama, and he is given 5 million as school grant, as bursary, and one particular child is left. Everybody is going to say the member of parliament is not okay. So we need, Madam Speaker, to be protected by ensuring that we have an institutional framework in terms of the decentralization, the devolution, which should be implemented. What is the DC going to be doing when all the resources have been aligned and given to the member of parliament? In terms of the committee on modernization, are they going to increase the number of staff at the constituency office? Are we going to be supported to make sure that we implement? So, Madam Speaker, all we are saying is that, yes, that money is welcome, but we need a functional institutional framework in terms of decentralization, because you cannot allow resources to go when there is no institutional framework. So all we are appealing to our colleagues, they should give us an institutional framework on which the 25 million, Madam Speaker, we have been given is going to be anchored so that our colleagues who are here can be protected. Many of our colleagues are new. They may not be able to know how to mingle around with the politics that the 25 million is going to bring. So we need to be protected. And I know the Honorable Minister for Local Government and Rural Development is capable enough to deliver a functional decentralization policy. With that said, Madam Speaker, I want to cautiously indicate to the Minister of Finance that he needs to move very cautiously on the decentralization policy.